The following is an exclusive production of Minuteman Command. The Flagship Pod with your hosts, ESPN personalities Mike Corey and Rene Ingoglia, is on the air. Brought to you by Todd Fritz Roofing, with insight and info from UMass and MAC insiders. From the Command Studios, here are your hosts, Mike and Rene.
Hey, folks, welcome into the Flagship Pod. As you can tell, I am not Mike Corey. I am not an ESPN personality, despite what my late grandmother would have thought by now. Christian McCollum with Minuteman Command. Happy to be joining Rene Ingoglia for the Flagship Pod. Rene, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're going to have to get the recording changed, obviously, the intro. So Mike has stepped away from the pod, and really the reason is, like, life has gotten in the way, like it does for all of us. He's got college basketball starting up. He does 2, sometimes 3 games a week. And he has this documentary, which I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, you know about it, that's in the final stages, but there's a lot to do to get done. And then he's got, life. He teaches a class at the University of Delaware. And so he decided to step away, which I totally understand. And fortunately, you, Christian, are able to step up and jump in and co-host with me. So I appreciate that. But, I still talk to Mike like every day. Matter of fact, I'll be with him Friday night. We're on the call together. We have North Texas, who 6-1. You want to talk about a turnaround out of the American, playing Charlotte on ESPN2 Friday night. And, Charlotte, Christian, thinking about it, and I've had them twice already. Very, very similar to what's going on at UMass. New coach, Tim Elbin, comes from Ohio. They had a lot of guys leaving the portal, obviously. They are decimated with injuries, starting quarterbacks out, linebackers, linemen, you name it. They have 1 win. They beat Monmouth by a touchdown. And really, if UMass would have hung on and beat Bryant like they should have, could have, would have, they'd be sitting at one win, although, should have had a win this week. But very similar. And I just say that in that, UMass kind of isn't alone with what's going on this year. UMass is alone for what's been going on since they've transitioned in 2012. So a lot to talk about, but we'll miss Mike. We're going to have to get the intro redone, but thank you for jumping in, Christian. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, happy to join. I'm glad to be able to do it, but I've told you and Mike from the start, from when we started this, I'm going to miss hearing you guys. I mean, I remember the very first episode, you guys like, how was it? I'm like, it was awesome. There's been episodes where I've gone back and had to listen 3 or 4 times essentially to do some editing. And I'm like, I listened to that thing 4 times and I wasn't bored once.
And
so I will miss that, obviously.
Kind of like Bert and Ernie, us too. So he feels horrible, but I get it. I told him it's okay. I know he reached out to you as well. So life goes on. We'll be okay. We're going to miss Mike, but we'll keep trugging along.
Sure. As you mentioned, absolutely brutal, heartbreaking loss Saturday. In multiple ways, kind of inexcusable. But just, for a fan base that has experienced so many losses in so many different ways, I mean, Saturday was just another excruciating one. And as hurt and angry as they are, you can totally understand it.
And so every week is different for me. So I had a noon game on Saturday. So I had Army at Tulane, which ended up being a great game, ironically. There's always like 6 degrees of UMass, right? Army, the last FBS team UMass beat in 2023. So they played well. How about this, Christian? Army opened that game. I did 18 plays, like 12-minute, 11-second drive, and they missed a field goal. But boy, you want to talk about ball control. So anyway, I had that game, and I've consciously stopped checking scores during games because I just don't want to get aggravated. I'm being transparent with you. So I don't check and I think people realize that. So no one texts me anymore about other games, particularly UMass when I'm on the air. So I didn't check, got off the air, went right to the airport, got something to eat in the Delta Sky Club because I had a flight home. Still didn't look, got on the plane and looked because I'm like, okay, it's probably over now. And there was about a minute left, according to my ESPN app, and I saw the score, 28-21. So my first thought is, oh, crap, played well. sucks. Looks like they're going to lose, but like played well. And Courtney Lyle, my play-by-play partner, she's in the across the aisle from me, and I go, look at this, 28-21. And so then the phone starts going and the DMs start coming. So I got a DM from a person, and this person, I will say, is like super pro UMass. One of these people it's positive, glass half full, isn't negative. And basically this DM was just a rant. And they said, listen, I'm sorry to be ranting to you. I said, nope, totally get it. And just went on basically of how the end of the game went and what happened, and that basically should have been a UMass win, and just ranted. And I let him. And then he basically said, I am now mad. This is a person that prior to this just wasn't mad, right? Because everyone, it's like this whole UMass, we'll call it experiment from 2012 on, right? Every fan is entitled to feel however they want. We will never tell you that's anger, it's disappointment, it's all the emotions, right? And everyone and people are grieving. People grieve differently. So this particular person said, I'm mad for the first time. So I DM'd them back and I said, well, let me explain to you what's about to happen. Because I've been there. I've been very mad. And now I've just kind of turned the page. I still care, obviously, deeply. I'm doing the pod. But I said, now I've become numb. I said, so you're going to be into the numb stage where, like, when things like this happen, you're just numb to it because you're like, here we go. And he said, yeah, it's a great way to put it. And then I had some other people that are in a similar situation to that person that are real positive. They're just beside themselves. So I think like the fan base, it's a really hard time. It's a really weird time with what's going on. And I'm just kind of here for you and with you. And so we'll break this thing down. But it's just, you look at how the end of the Bryant game happened and then this game, and you're just like, you got to be shitting because they're eerily similar. Every game is unique to itself, but just when UMass fans can't think like the dagger can go in and get twisted anymore, and just they say we've seen it all. There's absolutely nothing this program that's going to do to knock me down lower or make me feel worse. Something happens, and this week it was Buffalo.
Lucy pulls the ball again, so
yeah.
Let's get into it first. Like, there's a lot of obviously the end of the game, right? The last minute plus has been dissected, or not even dissected, I would say, just criticized. And I understand like a lot of the conventional wisdom for it. There is plenty to criticize this coaching staff for this game, and this game should have been a win, right? But I think a lot of the stuff that goes into the last possession for UMass's last offensive possession might kind of, be looked at a different way. That being said, like I said, we got plenty. We will criticize them. But let's kind of look at like the last possession. They get the ball. There's the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, which could have been called on 4 guys, right? Totally like inexcusable. It's another example of a team that is not used to winning, doesn't know how to win. Those guys on defense should know that a turnover doesn't clinch the game. They don't. That's a coaching thing. So they get the ball 1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line, right? And I think people are like, well, you ran the ball twice and threw it. Rene, me and you have talked. I know you're okay. You're not just okay. The throw on 3rd down makes sense. And to me, if anything, they should have thrown the ball more. And can you kind of explain why? Why is that timeout? Why are those not as valuable as you might think?
So let me say this to everyone, and I see X, and I see, and it's funny because like you and some other sites, you posted Joe Harris-Simiak's comments from the press conference, and so people take that, clip it, and they're like, he needs to be fired just for that alone. And it was a 30-minute press conference. Take 30 minutes, go on YouTube, find it, and just listen to the guy. You don't have to agree with him, but like as a coach, you make decisions that you feel are best. Again, you don't have to agree with it, but what he says makes sense. I mean, and I have no notes here. I am freewheeling this one today. Okay, so and I can say this too, every fan base, not just UMass, every fan base, when it goes down to a tight game, they always look at the last series, the last couple plays. And I get that. It's normal. Games are won and lost to me throughout the entire game. And when it comes down to using clock and milking it, as they say, I'm an old school person. I do think you start that well into the fourth quarter. That's me. That's my opinion. Obviously, they didn't feel that way because it was in the press conference, so I go watch it. So let's start with, and I want to go back to the series before the interception, Christian, but make sure we get to that. But let's start with that final series because you said. And we'll start, you get the interception, okay? And it's Darian Craig, who's a captain, and listen, the kid was devastated. Coach Harasimiak said he had tears in his eyes. He went to his office. The TV didn't really show it, but I got a ton of text messages and DMs saying he was doing snow angels on the field. You could see it, but the TV didn't zoom in on it. So that was what they called it. Like Coach Harasimiak said, there was a bunch of players kind of inappropriate, kind of taunting. But if the football gods ever wanted to send a message and had a sense of humor, I don't know if anyone thought about this. So he's doing a snow angel. I don't know why he was doing a snow angel, if there was a story behind it, but he does snow angel, 15-yard penalty. It was actually half the distance because they were at like the 20, so that's why they went back to the 10, I believe. It would have been a 15-yard penalty. He's doing snow angels, and yet a few minutes later, Victor Snow for Buffalo wins the game. So the irony is like, God himself was probably like, all right, UMass, get your act together. Snow Angels, but I'm going to let Snow win this game. I mean, you could, again, if you were going to do a documentary, if you were going to write a book, if you're going to do a movie, you'd be like, oh, that didn't happen. He did Snow Angels, and Snow wins the game. So I don't know if there was a correlation there. That's why he's doing Snow Angels. But anyway, you just can't do it. I mean, and I get Joe said all the right things, okay? That is 100% on the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. It is, and I don't care. You can sit there and tell me they know better. I've gone over it. If they're doing that, they're not a disciplined team, and that's on you as a coaching staff. And Joe knows that. He knows that. So that would drive me effing bonkers, okay? So they get the penalty. Joe also said something. Coach Harasimiak said something in the press conference, which I also believe is on the coaching. He made a comment, I don't know if anyone caught this, where he said, I'm sure nobody on the defense knew that Buffalo still had 3 timeouts. That's a problem too. You hear me say all the time, Christian, situational awareness. It's not just a quarterback issue that a quarterback should have situational awareness. They better. Every single player on the field needs to have situational awareness. What do I mean by situational awareness? Well, how many timeouts does my opponent have? Where's the first down marker? Is this a point where we're milking the clock? Do I have to go down in bounds? Like situational awareness. Understand what the hell is going on. If you didn't know they had 3 timeouts there, shame on you and shame on coaching, because you have to, before that defense goes back out there, you have to say, listen, guys, let's get a stop here, but the game's not over. They got 3 timeouts. Got to have it. Obviously, did not know that. Get the penalty. Now they're backed up at the 10-yard line. And I think you got those 3 plays clipped, correct? Or screenshots of them. So let's go through them.
Okay. So here's first down. And a lot of this refers to what Coach Harasimiak talked about in his press conference on Monday, which you said is worth a watch, right? So agree, disagree with the play calls. Here's kind of some explanation for him. I know watching it in real time, I thought it seemed like they were just throwing in the towel, might as well taking a knee. That's what it appeared to be, right? And that's because they were so ineffective, right? So the first play is quarterback duo. Quarterback run. It's good thought process. Anytime you run the quarterback, you get an extra blocker than you normally would. And you can see here, circled at the top, there's a defender. He beats the receiver inside. Receiver can't block the guy. So the running back has to pick him up, where the running back on this play design is really supposed to be picking up that linebacker on the next level, which will give AJ a chance to get some yards here.
Yeah, and I have no problem with this call. Quarterback duo, they call it. It's +1 run game, gives you an extra blocker. But again, situational awareness also is the 11 guys on the field understanding, okay, what's my assignment? And go do it. Have a sense of urgency. Thinking to yourself, get a first down, and we're going to win this game. That's the mindset. Get a first down, and we'll win this game. Back when I played in the 90s, we always, as an offense, okay, when you're backed up, whether it's the first quarter or the end of the game, when you're backed up 10 yards and into your goal line, one thought only, get a first down. Okay. Now, earlier in the game, that thought is get a first down to give your punter room. This is get a damn first down and win the game. So you cannot let a guy cross your face like we're showing them. You can't. I get it. They're good too. They're on scholarship too, but you got to win a game. And this is also a perfect example. You could have 10 guys on a play, do the right thing. One guy gets beat, it blows the play up. Situational awareness. I got to get to my block. I got to bust my ass. We need a first down. We need to win this game. So that was first down. Again, no problem with the call whatsoever. Buffalo beat you on that play.
Well, the other thing on that is the situational awareness, right? You practice this play, you rep this play. In general, you're running it. Your defense might not know if you're running or passing, right? So the receiver's lined up outside. So every time he reps this, he might, have the advantage of, the unknown. Well, you got to realize this guy knows we're probably running the ball. He's probably going to try even harder to jump it. So I'm going to have to go harder to get in front of his face. Doesn't happen. Plays blown up for no reason.
And if you notice in that look right there, like all 11 players are within 5 yards of the ball. Now, granted, the ball was snapped in some kind of drill, but it was a heavy run stop box. They anticipated run, but like you gotta run. You gotta get some movement. But again, guy gets beat. Buffalo wins that play. Exactly what they want to do. Boom, they're gonna burn a timeout. So one timeout's gone. They got 2 left.
Okay, second down. This play, when you watch it on tape, it seems like Brandon Hood, who's getting the ball right here, just kind of goes down, just gives himself up. Again, in real time, it's like, man, you might as well take a knee. He cramped. He comes off. Coach Harris-Simiak mentioned in his press conference on Monday that if you look on the outside, if you freeze it right at this point, they have a shot. They do. This is outside zone. He's already displayed the ability and the knowledge base earlier in the game not to go out of bounds. So if he can keep taking this ball and carrying it to the outside, they do have a shot to pick up some yards here. So this play call wasn't throwing in the towel.
Brandon Hood had an excellent game. He does have good situational awareness, to your point. He went down earlier. Now, the one thing I would tell tell Brandon Hood, well, I'm telling you, Christian, but Brandon needs to listen. Again, this is coaching as well. He went down. That was phenomenal. I can't remember if I've seen a running back go feet first. Remember, once you start going feet first and give yourself up, it's wherever you started. So he almost didn't get that first down.
Yeah,
so
I know.
That's something that hopefully the coaches have talked up, like give yourself up, but go forward with it. So we make sure we get the first down. But I love that he's thinking, and I guarantee you probably no one told him to go down. He just knew, don't go out of bounds. Now, again, in college football, with more than 2 minutes left, if you go out of bounds, it stops shortly, and then they wind it again. But I get his mindset. I love it. Listen, I can only go back to me as a player, okay, in my 4 years playing running back. And I'm not saying this because I think I'm better than anyone, worse than anyone, me, pat myself on the back. I don't ever remember cramping during a play. I just don't. Now, I'm not blaming him for that. But if you cramp like that, to me, there had to be, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. They didn't really get into it. Was there signs of it? Like the medical staff, like you just can't cramp in that spot. I feel horrible for the kid, right? He had a great game. But I'm with you. It looks like outside zone is there, and they trust him because with that I love outside zone, wide zone, because it gives the running back so many different cuts. You're using your vision. You can keep it outside if you can turn the corner, get up, get a first down, stay in bounds. If you got a seam cut back, you square the shoulders up and go. If you just keep it right wide, play and go, kind of off tackle-ish. Like, I love the play call. He cramps, goes down, ends up, I think, a 5-yard loss. So now you're really effed. Boom, Buffalo's, thank you very much. Boom, we'll call our second timeout. So that's that.
So now we get to third down, right? So now I know a lot of people were more than questioning, just saying it's dumb to throw the ball on third down. We've talked about it. It is not dumb. It is absolutely the right decision. That may surprise some, and I understand a lot of people, they don't have time to go through all the analytics. They have real jobs. As Coach Harris-Simiak said in his press conference, you should listen to the people that do it professionally. What you're doing here, so Buffalo has one timeout. There's 49 seconds, 50 seconds left on the clock. If you do not pick up the first down here, they're going to get the ball back at midfield, right? They need probably 2 first downs to get into field goal range. So and the clock's going to stop on a first down. You're going to throw the ball, so you're going to have incomplete passes, first downs, or out of bounds. The clock will stop. You can spike it. You get 2 of them. Would a timeout be helpful? Yes. Would it be crucial? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. All you're doing here is when you're trying to get the first down, if you were to run the ball here, you're trading an opportunity to win the game for just a little bit less for them to. It's just not an even value. The value of that timeout is minimal, right?
100%. And you know me, anyone that knows me and that watches this pod or listens to me on TV, I'm all about running the ball, right? I'm old school, run the ball. He's 100% with what he said in the press conference and what he did here. First down wins the game, obviously. Now, granted, I get it. It's third and very long. At this point, I think it was 3rd and 17, I want to say.
3rd and 14. That's another thing. The ESPN play-by-play and some of the data has it off. They added the penalty and made it seem like it was 1st and 20 to begin this drive. It was not. So this isn't 3rd and 24. This is 3rd and 14.
Okay, so that helps out. So, yeah, 3rd and 14, you throw the ball. And really – It proves his point because Buffalo went and won the game, and they never used that last time out.
Yep.
They had it in their back pocket. So, yes, 100% throw it here. Now, you shouldn't be back here anyway. We just went through this whole thing. But you definitely throw the ball here. You see the receiver at 20. You see the tight end Dowling cutting at 15. He talks about this. And, when we watch a game, we don't know, right? Even as an analyst, I don't know the depth of the route. We don't know what if they've made changes on the sideline. He said the route was run at the wrong depth. Okay. And again, that's on the player. It's also on coaching, right? These are breakdowns you just can't have.
Sure.
And so no problem with him throwing it here. But it goes incomplete. And now you're punting out of your end zone. I mean, you got one of the best runners in the country. It doesn't matter. They're going to get the ball around midfield. No, by the way, for those who don't know, Pete Lembo, the head coach at Buffalo, he's a special teams coordinator by trade. That's like his expertise. He was at South Carolina and did it. So he's always going to have good skill, good specialist kickers. His kicker has like a 55-yard foot. And Joe Harris-Simiak talks about that. They knew that. So you 100% go for the win here. Because if you complete if you complete a 14-yard pass and get a first down, the game's over.
Sure.
The game's over.
And
so you 100% throw it there. I don't even really know why there was a question there. Now, we can talk about it. You can go back the series before.
Yeah, we will.
The series before that and question some play calls and question some snaps, leaving a lot of time on the play clock. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with that, I should say. So
this, Coach Harris-Simiak mentioned it. You can see the receiver right here. He's at the 20-yard line. He actually runs his comeback at the 25. Right, so he's still running this route for 5 more yards. You can see the ball's already out of AJ's hand, and it goes right to the 20. It's right over this curl flat defender. It looks like almost gets intercepted, and when there's no one there, it looks bad. But in reality, if this guy breaks his route right now, AJ makes a phenomenal throw. It's right over the defender. He catches the ball, and it's game over.
And again, what am I going to say?
Situational awareness.
Awareness. So let's say that route normally and I don't know if he said it, Christian. Maybe let's say normally it calls for 18 or 16 or maybe it does call a little deeper. I don't know. But even if it does, that's something in the huddle. Yeah. With AJ, you say, listen, AJ, normally my break's at 18, I come back to 16. Listen, I'm breaking this early, and I'm coming back to the sticks. Sure. So when the ball's put on me and I catch the ball, even if they knock me back, I'm going to have this first down. situational awareness. If you need 14, you don't run the route at 20 or 18. I mean, even if that's in normal case what the route calls for, and I don't know if it does, situational awareness, man. And it's
and Coach Harasimiak explained he's brought everyone through this because he said he thought the fans deserve an explanation, right? And so when you look at this, you understand the explanations; they make sense. At the same time, if it seems like we're taking the blame off the coaches and putting it on the players, we're not. Charlie Weiss once told me when he coached for Bill Parcells was yelling at Charlie Weiss for someone screwing something up. And he said, Coach, I told him that 99 times. And Parcells said, then you should have told him 100, right? These mistakes, they might be pointed at the player, but you keep going up. That's on the coach.
At the end of the day, everything out there, and I get it, decimated with injuries. You got guys playing that normally may not be playing. Still, if a guy runs a route incorrectly, if he doesn't have situational awareness, if a guy gets an unsportsmanlike penalty, if a guy misses a block, it all falls on coaching. And Joe said that too. I mean, but I'm sure the fans are like, okay, great. I'm done with it, so.
Yeah. Now, what we can go back to that to me, right, is all on coaching. You mentioned the previous drive, right? So, I did a whole breakdown on this in Minuteman Command Sunday, right? They get the ball back. I'm talking about previous to them getting the interception, the previous offensive drive. They get the ball back with about 11 minutes left.
Yeah.
And they have they run the clock all the way down to about 3 minutes before the missed field goal. That's a pretty long, lengthy, ball-consuming drive, right? But in real time, they are snapping the ball with 28, 23, 17, 8, 17, so much time left in the play clock. I'm in the press box speaking with one of our interns saying, why are they snapping the ball so early, right? Now, it's relatively early in the fourth quarter. I understand that, but that's when you call it burn, milk, whatever. You should be milking that clock, right? And I know Coach Harasimiak said, on Monday, they didn't really want to put that on AJ too much. I mean, I can kind of understand that, but stay in the huddle. Other than that, I mean, I was 12 years old playing Madden, knowing how to do that, right? So that's not really there. And I added it up. 180 seconds, 3 full minutes that didn't need to be on that clock were on that clock, right? And I understand that's if you take it all the way down. You don't need to do that. But Harasimiak said they won't start calling their timeouts till they get near the 2-minute timeout. You could have gotten near the 2-minute timeout if you really burned that clock, and all you needed Buffalo to do was spend one timeout. If they spend one timeout on that previous drive, they only are left with 2, and basically it ends up with you just need one defensive stop because then you'll be able to run out the clock completely. So that segment from they finally did start to burn it after the penalty with 4 minutes and 50 seconds left, but prior to that, there was 3 minutes left on the game clock that didn't need to be there, and that's entirely on the coaches.
No, I'm with you. And again, anyone that's ever listened to me broadcast a game, once you get into the fourth quarter in a tight game, I think as a head coach, it's incumbent upon you to start thinking about that. Now, listen, there's offenses out there, and this drives me nuts, that are like these up-tempo, snap it as fast as you can. ECU, I do a lot of American games, so ECU comes to mind. USF and Tennessee used to do it like that. And it drives me nuts that those teams do that, but that's their offense. Mm-hmm. If you're not a hot, up-tempo, fast snap offense, once you get in the fourth quarter, you got to start thinking about, especially at the 8-minute mark, 7.5, 8-minute mark. But even to your point, in the start of the fourth quarter, I don't really understand coach saying, I don't want to put it on AJ. For those that don't know, there's coach to player communications. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Mike Bajakian is in the ear of AJ Harrison. AJ can't talk back. That communication goes all the way until there's 15 seconds on the play clock. Okay. So the play can come in and Bajakian could say to AJ, hey, AJ, this is the play. This is what we're going to do. Don't break the huddle into 15 when I shut off. Go out there and run your normal cadence and snap the ball.
Yep.
The normal cadence is probably going to take you 8 to 9 seconds, right? Mm-hmm. That brings you down to 5 by the time that, so I get it if you say to the quarterback, milk it, be precise, snap it at 1.
Yep.
You don't have to do that. get it to 5, under that 5 range, and ultimately it's going to get snapped at 2, 3, or 4, somewhere in there. It's not rocket science to do that. You can literally do that on every damn play, regardless of the play call, regardless of the substitutions. It's not, again, something that should be practiced. Okay.
Yep.
And so you're milking without consciously worrying your quarterback about milking. So
sure,
I'm with you. And they didn't do it. So you already did the math. I mean, 3 damn minutes. And I look at that. A lot of teams do that. And it's wrong. But when you're trying to win your first FBS game in a year and a half, like, again, another little thing, maybe not so little, big thing that just, it needs to be done. And it wasn't done. And before I forget, I wanted to bring up, so we brought that up, the series that Buffalo had the ball when they ultimately threw the interception. And no one's talked about this, but I think it was 2, maybe 3 plays before the interception. And I could be wrong, but I think Buffalo had the ball at their own 35-yard line, 40-yard line, something like that.
Fourth down.
They're half of the field. It was 4th and 10. 4th and 10. They drop back to pass. UMass has really good coverage. I'm not going to call people out. The DB was in really good coverage. He was on the hip. They run an over route at about probably like 15 yards. I think it was 4th and 10. Maybe it was 12 yards. I don't know. But they run an over route past the stick, situational awareness. And the DB turns. He's in great position. He tries to intercept the ball. And he looked back, to me, my analysis, he looked back and said, I'm going to pick this thing off. And it's kind of coming at him. And he almost short arms it. Yep. And the ball looks like it goes right, basically touches his fingertips and right into the belly of the Buffalo receiver that's just past him a little bit on his hip pocket, makes a catch for a first down. Situational awareness. You got to knock that ball down. You need to understand when you turn and you're in that hip pocket and you drive, knock the ball down. Don't try to catch it. Just knock it down. You knock that ball down there. Now you got the ball 1st and 10. Yeah, they have all the 3 timeouts up, but it's 1st and 10. You're on the positive side of the field. Everything's different now with how aggressive you are, okay? Yep. And you're essentially in field goal range, okay? Or at the very least, they're going to use their timeouts, right, where you are, and you can try to pin them deep, right? And so that one drove me nuts too. Situational awareness. Drive on the ball, knock it down. It's 4th and 10. In the huddle, in the sideline. Guys, 4th down, knock it down. I don't know. Maybe they were saying that. I don't know. It drives me nuts. You watch it in the NFL, you watch it in places because, and I'm not saying this kid cares about his stats. I'm not saying that. But in general, NFL, some major college football guys, it'll be like 4th and 10, and like they'll throw like a bomb. Yep. And guys are intercepting it, right? Yep. And some schools thought it's like go up and catch it. All right. If you're clear, if it's alone, I don't know, maybe I could see it. But again, knock the damn thing down. It's going back to where the line of scrimmage is. I'm old school. That's why I was taught. So I just thought if he drove on it, knocked it down, we have a different ball game as well too. So everyone wants to go to the last couple plays. There was multiple plays in that last 6-7 minute stretch that I think really hurt them.
Well, and then you go and Coach Harasimiak, to his credit, acknowledges, brought it up. I hadn't heard it. I hadn't noticed it. They have 10 guys on the field on Buffalo's last offensive possession. 10 guys. That cannot happen, right? That is just inexcusable. Those are the kind of things where, if you're watching a game and you're wondering why are they passing it when I think they should run it, you kind of, the other thing is you normally you give the coach the benefit of the doubt. They haven't earned that yet from these fans, right? The new coaching staff has not earned the benefit of the doubt for the fans. So I can understand why they don't offer them that. Hopefully, further explanation helps people understand, some of those decisions, but 10 guys in the field, inexcusable, right? Harasimiak mentioned Notre Dame had that happen against Ohio State. Trust me, I know I was covering that game. Inexcusable, right? And Don't think Notre Dame fans weren't saying at the time, this guy's in over his head. He deserves to be fired. Biggest game play of the season, and he got lost in the moment. And, so all the criticism, it's expected. He also mentioned Miami Mario Cristobal. I thought that was the worst one, right? They were literally could have gone in victory formation and didn't fumble, lose the game. Like that to me is like, wow. But it kind of does give you an idea of like some of the best coaches just make some of the most boneheaded errors.
100%. The one thing I'll say is, though, those two you just mentioned, they're always going to get the benefit of the doubt at the end after getting crucified because their programs win.
Yep.
So it's in a microscope with UMass because we've been in this tailspin since 2012, since the transition to FBS. So everything's magnified. Everything is looked at in a bigger microscope. And so, that's what happens. So,
like obviously, like I said, credit Harrison Mack for owning it, right?
Yeah.
Saying this is on me, even all that other stuff. But like you've said multiple times, Rene, the players are trying to win. They're trying to learn how to win. The coaching staff is also, this is the most glaring example to me that you've mentioned before. This coaching staff is still learning / relearning how to win themselves.
There's no doubt about it. And it's just, you just got to be ready for all different situations that are going to happen in the game, especially in the end of the game. So yeah, I mean, and here we go. Now on the road, Central Michigan, 4-3, trying to turn that program around. Good chance of getting a bowl game. Matt Drinkle, by the way, is their new head coach, was the offensive line coach at Army, comes from Army, disciplined, tough, hard-nosed coach. Obviously, 4-3, they're playing well, and so now you just got to pull your bootstraps up, go on the road, and keep playing. And let me say this too, Christian, before we go. There's a couple things I want to get to. I want to talk about Mark Bertrand, who's a UMass alum, who's a radio personality, 98.5 in Boston, who went off for 5 minutes. And good for Mark to go off because, one, I've been beating a drum like Eastern Mass, like Boston. We need to get our asses, they need to, the UMass people need to wake up. And I'm not saying Mark was sleeping, but like to give a 5-minute rant on a show like that, that's wide ranging and listened to by a lot, good on him. I will say this. I've been contacted by a lot of people. I'm a retired detective, so I did as much digging as possible. Okay. We just talked about the issues on the field. Obviously, I'm not going to bring up Ryan Bamford. Everyone has their opinion, and I know what they all think about Ryan Bamford. I get that. Okay. To me, in a whole, again, and this goes off of what I kind of said last time, my 30,000-foot view with the UMass football program. Okay. The problem lies squarely, the biggest problem, there's multiple problems, but it all starts at the top. And I mean the top. Every issue that's happening now is on the hands of Marty Meehan, the president of the University of Massachusetts system, and the board of trustees. Full stop. Period. Full stop. Board of trustees, Marty Meehan. They are not, and they have never given the support, financially or otherwise, to that football program. It's a shame. That program, and I've said it sound like a broken record, is the only Division I football program for the Flagship University of Massachusetts of the Commonwealth. Only one. You always hear front porch. I know people joke because Ryan says it, but it's the truth, okay? People see your university first and foremost through the lens of college football. All you academic people, you can disagree if you want, but it's true. Mark Bertrand brought up a thing about some unbelievable research vaccines that the University of Massachusetts came up with that could possibly help cure cancer. Phenomenal. UMass, one of the best research facilities, institutions in the world. Academics, great. Love it. Love it. If your football program was where it should be right now, winning, getting good TV networks, good time slots. That'd be one hell of a thing to say during that broadcast, wouldn't it? Broadcast it to millions of people and then cut up on social media. And then, you know what I mean? They go hand in hand is what I'm saying, okay? I've also been told, and I've said this before, but I've also been told that it's a large, and I don't want to swoop on everyone in the same rug, but there's a large contingency of faculty at the University of Massachusetts that do not like football, do not support football, and do not want to see one dime go to football, okay? And I talked about this last week. Rising tide lifts all boats, right? It's the simplest cliche to say, but it's true. But people just don't understand, nor do they give a shit. That's the major problem that UMass is dealing with. So when you have a group of people, okay, that care about the program and want to invest in it and have a trajectory like this, but then you have a bunch of other people, okay, that are affiliated with the university in any capacity that are like, screw it, like this. You got two opposing forces. That is a recipe for disaster. And that's what's been going on with UMass football since 2012. Hands down, starts at the top with Marty Meehan and the Board of Trustees, okay? And until they give the flagship university's marquee program, which is football, the support that they need financially and otherwise, we will be in this hellscape forever. And I never want to see football go away. I'm also told through some digging, there's a lot of people high up that would prefer football to go away. Just get rid of football. And so again, you got people with a vision, want it to go this way, and then you got people that say, let it crash, we want to get rid of it. Leadership starts with Marty Meehan. He needs to get control of this from the top along with the Board of Trustees, okay? And the Board of Trustees doesn't work for Marty Meehan. Marty Meehan works for that Board of Trustees. They need to get their asses together and figure this thing out with what they're going to do supporting this program, okay? Because I'm over it. I'm over it. I've been beating the drum now. At least someone like Mark Bertrand's getting it out there in Eastern Mass, so maybe their ears will open and they'll hear it. But I'm over it. And the way I look at it too, again, flagship university, marquee program, football. Okay, it is. Argue what you want. You can say, Pat, football is the dominant sport in our nation. Okay, one Division I program for the Commonwealth. Okay, the way I look at it, Marty Meehan's the president, right? If you look at it in NFL terms, he's kind of the owner of the team. So everything underneath him comes back and falls on him. The Board of Trustees is kind of like the front office management with the owner, right? Everything that happens underneath falls on them, okay? And then you got Javier Reyes, would kind of be like a GM. Ryan Bamford, kind of like an assistant GM, but the working GM that makes decisions. And then you have the head coach and the team. But to me, everything starts at the top. So, you know, my challenge, it's not even a challenge because they probably don't give two shits what I say. But my challenge to them is shit or get off the pot, man. Like, let's support this program. I just don't get it because it's embarrassing for me as an alum, as a former player, that's on a national, you know, every week I call a national game on TV. And my partner says, alongside former UMass All-American Rene Ingoglia. And I am proud as shit of that, okay? I am proud. But don't think for a moment that I don't, in the back of my mind, saying, damn, man, they haven't won an FBS game since 2023. Do you know what I mean? So, like, we're all aggravated and embarrassed. But again, the biggest embarrassment should be the top, should be the president and the Board of Trustees. And for faculty that don't support, that don't understand that a good athletic department, and particularly football, is going to help you recruit, you know, geniuses and these just intelligent people to keep getting these vaccines done and engineering and all the great things that you do in academics, in academia. They go hand in hand. Believe me, they do. You have to understand that. And you have to believe that, hey, if the Board of Trustees and Marty Meehan said, guess what, tomorrow we're gonna invest $300 million into this program. We're gonna build a new stadium, which, oh, by the way, benefits everybody because you can have concerts in there, you can have other sports in there, graduations in there, for God's sakes, every year. Wouldn't you want a real nice stadium? $300 million. We're gonna build a new stadium. We're gonna build a indoor. We're gonna build dorms down there. We're gonna build some retail. I also have it on good authority that they have the money. Money has never been an issue. Money is not an issue. The issue is supporting the program, giving them the money, and getting everyone on the same page in agreement, pulling the same way. And I don't know if that can ever happen. And if it doesn't, it's insanity, right? It's insanity. Each year we're repeating the same thing. We're doing the same thing over and over with the same damn result. So I guess I cannot do this podcast without one rant. And so that's my rant before I say anything super inappropriate, which I don't think I have. I'm giving it back to you.
As we go through this, if I haven't done it already over and over again, I reference Notre Dame all the time. That's my full-time job. I understand what goes on at Notre Dame. So I will reference Notre Dame too much. People will say Notre Dame's not UMass, not the same thing. I understand that. Same power struggle at Notre Dame. Okay. Notre Dame's an elite academic program. The academic side of campus resents, I'll say, the athletic side. And there's a huge tug of war. The academic side, people think Notre Dame should be known for all the great things we do academically. And the athletic people realize we are the biggest reason why you're getting this attention. And we're also bringing in tons of money. That it's a little bit more even of a tug of war. But I'll ask people this. Credit to Mark Bertrand again for the rant. How many people knew about the vaccine that was amazing, right? I think I heard a little bit of it. I think I was aware of it. I didn't know. I wouldn't have been able to tell you on authority about the vaccine that they did, which is great. People probably learned about that for the first time during Mark's rant. How many people knew what happened Saturday? How many people saw that?
Millions.
Exponentially more.
We let off Matt Berry's scoreboard show again.
Yeah.
Again, so that's shown over and over, millions and millions and millions of people watching on ESPN, just like they let off with it last year when they lost to Liberty.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah.
That's what it means, right? So the football's going to be in the spotlight of your university, just like you said, one way or the other, right? And right now it's in the wrong way, right? So those people that are against football and don't want to see it and resent it, as I said, as you said, they need to realize, like it or not, football is going to help you in all the endeavors you want to do as a university.
And look what's going on at Vanderbilt for years. They were making money in the SEC, so the academic part of it was like, yeah, we'll take that money, right? They were never investing back into football like they should have, right? They were really taking advantage of them being in the SEC, not letting them get players in. Finally, letting them get players in. New stadium, investing back in the program, and look what they've done at Vanderbilt, right? So I don't know the dynamics, but I'm sure there was academic, athletic struggles and sure, not seeing eye to eye, just like we're talking about here. So listen, you just have to be on the same page, man. Simple as that.
And some academic people seem to, like I said, resent football, and they don't really get it. I mean, look at Stanford, look at Cal, right? They've joined the ACC. Right. So those schools clearly understand the revenue portion. And people are like, well, those schools actually make money because they win, yada, yada, yada. You need to make the investment first in order for you to do that.
And the stadium, and if you did what I did, stadium, indoor and facilities and dorm, that's also a message to the rest of the country and recruits like, oh, they care. They care. Okay. This is awesome. They care. If $300 million goes to an engineering school, a research school in any of the University of Massachusetts schools, right, in the system, I'm happy for you. I'm not begrudging that.
Sure.
You're never going to hear me. Why are they giving all that money there? Good. Just like when someone gets a big payday, I'm never going to be like, man, I can't believe they're paying that guy that much. If someone's going to pay you, good. If someone's going to give you the money to put a building in, a facility, whatever it is in academia, I'm glad for you. Just put that same dedication and effort from the president and the board of trustees that you do for other projects that same passion and dedication and commitment financially needs to go into the football program. That's all I'm saying. Not more, not less, the same. So.
All right. Well, we're way over what your allotted time usually is, Rene. So I appreciate you letting me join you. Hopefully, not going to ease any frustrations from the loss. Hopefully, we just kind of shed some light on some of the reasoning behind some of the things. Also, some of the criticisms that on some of the other things that went wrong. Disgusting loss. Fans should be upset. They should be, feeling terrible. And, we're just going to keep on moving on, though.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Have a good week, Christian. Thanks.
Thank you, Rene. Thanks, everybody.